down to 2 days left until we have to be back at work. The forest fire season of 2021 in British Columbia was particularly bad. We're working our way home debating on whether or not to spend another night at anchor. The air quality had deteriorated a lot in the last day or so.
I don't know if you can see it here in the background, but the last few days it looks like some of that smoke from the interior fires has come in. Kind of a little bit of a brown sort of haze and a bit of filtered sunlight on the water. Yeah, I guess that's the way it goes. You know, so unfortunate, especially for the people that are in the interior and having to really deal with the problem of it. There's a little bit here, but probably nothing compared to what people closer to the source are having to deal with, or more in line with direct downstream. So yeah, hopefully it gets better for everyone soon. That's for sure. It's it's been so nice so far with so many days of blue sky, but yeah, those fires are they're kind of terrible for the air quality. So hopefully we get some improvement.
We were just talking to some friends from home who just upgraded from their 28-foot boat to a 33-foot boat. They had just closed on the 33 and were quite excited to get out on the water, and we were quite excited to see their new boat. We decided to meet up with them later in the afternoon at Portland Island, close to Sydney. It's always exciting when someone you know buys a boat or upgrades their existing boat. It was turning out to be a nice cruise day, and the smoke was beginning to diminish as we went west. It was a mid-rising tide, so we went through the Pender Canal. Pender Canal is pretty narrow and requires attention. We never go through on anything less than a mid-level tide. We had a safe passage through to Bedwell Harbour and a great cruise back towards Sydney. I want to talk about power and refrigeration aboard the boat here. There's a lot of ways to do this, and it kind of is a bit of a utility subject, and often gets into a bit of technical aspect, but it's kind of important in that from a technical standpoint, you do have to do a fair bit of calculation and investigate equipment and do electrical measurements and that. From a general standpoint, for non-technical people, the payoff is really big because you have power whenever you need it, or a lot more power for other things, and for provisioning, it makes such a difference, and that can really change your entire trip. This last year on our trip, we installed this basic little freezer here. It's just from Costco. They go for like couple $100, just a manual defrost and that sort of thing. So we found this to be an absolute game changer in the fact that if you don't have this, then it seems like you're juggling a lot of stuff, and if you want enough provisions, especially vegetables and stuff, you end up buying ice and coolers, and you end up with that liquidy food stuff going on in the bottom that you're always trying to deal with. This is the first year we actually had one of these freezers like this, and the specific aspect I want to talk about is the power consumption. One of the instruments I use for measuring the power is These are a pretty common device. It's called it's called a kilowatt meter. You can get them on Amazon or any number of places, right? And so this is measuring the alternating current off my inverter right now. And so we go to volts, we can see 117.5 volts. 0 amps currently. We're just measuring this fridge freezer. 0 watts because nothing's being used. The one I want to discuss mainly is kilowatt hours. So that's, you might be familiar with that with your electricity bill, where it actually is quite often expressed in kilowatt hours. So right now this meter is measuring 0.75 kilowatt hours. So what that means is that's about 750 watts since I plugged this in. That gives you the total measurement of power, and I plugged this in 2 days ago, almost exactly. So that tells me 750 watts over a 48-hour period to keep this freezer cold. And the last day wasn't too hot, but the day before was really hot. But looking at it, it's fairly average, and it really didn't actually make that much difference with the temperature. Essentially, we're looking at about 375 watts for a 24-hour period. And if we divide that, now there's going to be some efficiencies lost in the conversion electricity in the inverter, that sort of thing. But if we divide 37.5, that's probably not much more than about 30, low 30 amps, maybe 32 amps at 12 volts. Considering the size of this freezer device and how much food you can have in there, and the ability to utilize 32 amps or so, or 35 amps over a 24-hour period, you come to the conclusion that that's actually a very efficient unit, and especially for the price. I mean, if you buy something that's more specific to like camping or boating, like a Nova Cool or a Dometic or a Angel, or these things can be $1,000–2,000 for a chest freezer that's not actually as big as this. And these are literally $200. The only catch, you've got to make sure you have a pure sine inverter. The cheap, and those can be had for fairly inexpensive. The one I have is probably a $300. Go on the website. I have links to pure sine inverters there. They're just the more inexpensive kind, but they work great. I've been using one for 5 years and it's still perfect. But if you use the modified wave, it'll burn out the compressor after a couple years, so it's important to use one of those. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on this because if you have some solar on the boat, it doesn't take much to come up with 32 amps a day, and you have a full deep freeze. And as long as you have the space and the footprint for it, it's a really great solution, and it really is a game changer for, especially if you're heading out for a week or two. It changes everything.
Okay, we're just at Portland right now, and if you remember back in episode 1, if you haven't seen that, go check that out. We were here at Portland, and there was like a boat wreck on the shore over here, so we're just gonna go have a look to see if it's still there. So yeah. Oh, I think I can still see it. I know. Wait, the other, oh, you didn't. I know. Yeah, that one. Oh yeah, I can still see it. It looks more trashed than last time.
Yeah.
Like a lot more.
That's what it would be like. You know,
But that would be the bow, right?
yeah, this is where you drive from. Right.
Yeah.
So you kind of be sitting.
And the rest of the boat is just like all in pieces.
As
over
much as
there.
this boat wreck becomes an interesting activity for the kids to check out, disposal of these wrecks continues to be a real problem. I'm not sure if the parks has not noticed this. I have considered trying to remove the wreck myself, but we aren't equipped to handle the wreckage of a shredded fiberglass boat in a secure manner. Also, where would it need to be taken? Are there liability issues to be considered within the park? Anyway, we'll have to investigate this further and try our best until we can get this
Stuff
removed.
right there.
Oh yeah. Well, the whole thing's kind of smashed up.
Yeah. Or it's like a shark.
Okay, it's not a shark. these rocks, they keep getting stuck in my shoe, and then I have to take my shoe off, and then I have to get all the rocks out of my shoe.
We could see our friends entering the bay. They had bought a Bayliner 3388. This is an updated model very similar to the legendary 3288, the best-selling motor yacht of all time. Twin 4-cylinder diesels and direct drives.
Yeah, but the midship.
It can sometimes be a little bit tricky rafting up to a boat that's just swinging on the anchor. Considering this was their first time rafting up with this boat, they did pretty good. We had a nice afternoon and evening checking out their new boat and making some adjustments with them and telling them about the stories of our trip.
I'm still learning.
Well, that's it. Well, we're pulling away from our last anchorage here, and we're heading back to port. So it's been a really good summer trip. We've seen, I think, all the sights we wanted to see and then some. And you just never know how these trips are going to go, and you never know where you're really going to go, because it's good to leave those options open. But, coming around Sarah Point.
Like 5.
Okay, well, you're almost there.
We're just pulling off the carb right now.
Never not have a button. Honda 2000, I think. Yeah, it's a Honda 2000. It's in around 50 amps. Back to the boat.
Hunter 1.
You're coming in and out of Toledo. 2.5 miles from Teos Bay. This is 3 Fathom Cove. Wasn't too bad a hike, was it?
No.
He's across the bay. There's a trail that you go there, and then you hike up to that lake.
We'll let it cool down a little bit, freezing.
We should be there in maybe about an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow.
It actually will dry right across the openings. So this is the swing at the end of Pendrell Sound, pretty well at high water. Regulator breather off eBay for about $20.
had a good trip.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about this trip?
Sleeping.
I'm not gonna get much of an interview out of Hunter. All right, what time is it?
It's time to turn into that way.
You don't want to turn in that one.
It's 11:30.
11:30? Okay, we're almost there, Hunter.
Same,
Whoa! See, that one wasn't calming down.
One of the nicest places you can go around here.
And it's worthwhile stopping in Comox.
We're probably going to start up in about 10 to 15 minutes and we'll get on our way. We really love Tribune Bay.
Enjoying the sun or humpback?
Oh, there's a wind.
We're just about to enter the flume now.
We have kids in the water. Nice end to a nice day. Pretty interesting to watch. I think we're pretty close to end of life on it. Saturna Island. To the park here at Winter Cove. We'd like to stay longer, but unfortunately we got to get back to funding this expedition, and we'll see you all on the next cruise.